I've never been his biggest fan, I have to say. I don't think at times his manager used to help him. I don't mean Arteta before then, when they used to play him on his own in the holding role when he's got a lack of athleticism. But I have to say, since those incidents you're talking about, the character he's shown to come back and also come back fitter, more determined, more disciplined.
Yeah,
I thought his performances in the Euros were brilliant.
Outstanding, wasn't he?
He deserves great credit.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that someone just doesn't jump ship when things aren't going so well. And to be fair to him, I think he'll benefit hugely when Thomas Partey gets fully fit. And Thomas Partey actually was fit most of pre-season and then got injured, didn't he? In the last, I think it was the last warm-up game, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So that was a blow for him, because the power and the athleticism of Partey next to him would really help him.
Okay.
So yeah, that's some good news for Arsenal in a weekend where they've not had much.
I mean, I don't know what else you can say besides being specific about what they're unwell with, and what benefit is wisdom if it doesn't profit the wise. Unwell is unwell. You still should have had enough on that pitch to be able to have made a more compelling performance against a Brentford side that was a shot to nothing for them. It was a terrible game for Arsenal to have to play in, because without giving any excuses to them, they can't win that game for degrees of loss. If they win it, they would expect to win it. If they lose it, it's an absolute aberration. And it was interesting, Martin Keown talking about them on Friday and talking about that caller that rang in, talking about the absolute disgrace that Arsenal had become and how Martin Keown was trying to sell the world a pup on the basis that Arteta had a clue. And Martin was making that point about, he didn't want to get off the fence. He hadn't seen a fence. He didn't want to sit on that day, and he wanted to get past. He wanted to get past the idea that an Arsenal invincible could criticise the current Arsenal. I understand that.
You've been brave now.
I said it to him at the time.
Right.
But by the same token, you look at this and say it's a poor performance from Arsenal on a variety of fronts, but a difficult one. But as far as Aubameyang's concerned, I don't know what to make of this guy. I don't know what to make of it. I really didn't like all the nonsense last year. I found it irritating, this endless idea that we're hanging on every single word that he's making with his egg timers and so on and so forth. And he's come back and he eventually got himself going. Lacazette is one of those players that is... it kind of looks like he's been marginalised half the time. It kind of looks like his attitude feels like he's being marginalised half the time, because he's never been given the real trust and choices that other players that have been in the Arsenal lineup have been given. But it remains the same thing. What are Arsenal and what are they going to do? And Granit Xhaka may well have signed a new contract for Arsenal. And it may be compelling that he's got the character to overcome the adversity. But there was once upon a time that players like Granit Xhaka would have got nowhere near London Colney, would have never been considered good enough to play for Arsenal.
Which is a fair point. The way they lost it was really worrying. I also thought some of the decisions he made in terms of his selection was strange. So you're playing away from home, crowds back against the Championship side. If you watch them, they're pacey, they've got physicality and energy, they play on the front foot. He's put Balogun in, a young lad up front who's not ready. He had Saka on the bench who he could have played. He was fit enough. He's got an experienced, big defensive English lad called Rob Holding, who was there to utilise, and he didn't play him. Could have played three at the back, knowing their power and their paces up front. He also played Chambers right back, who isn't the quickest. I'm not convinced the Arsenal fans that he's the man to play there. And he's got two right backs on the bench who are quick. So he's got Bellerin, who's electric and super experienced, international footballer, who may not want to be there, so that's fine. He's also signed Cedric. Now, Cedric's experienced player, again, international fullback. He's playing at Chambers, who struggled at Premier League level. If I was Arteta, I'd be making some definitive decisions and sticking to a team that I think is capable and some tactics that you can actually see that he's. I think Simon and I both agreed at the beginning he looked like the real deal. We were quite enthused by what he was doing.
What, Aubameyang?
Sorry, no,
Arteta.
He seemed to have a plan. He played a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, whichever way you want to look at, but 3-4-3 generally. Won the cup, started the next season reasonably well. And you start thinking they've got an identity. You had Aubameyang working his socks off from the left-hand side. There was some positivity there. Then things went badly, and he became really reactive rather than proactive. A little bit like rabbit in the headlights at times. And I'm thinking, keeps changing it, keeps changing the tactics, changing the personnel. They lose that game, then he changes four, and it's like lost their way a little bit. And at the beginning of this season, I was looking for them to... I know Aubameyang and Lacazette weren't available and Partey's injured and there's excuses. But when I say I'd be defensive, I'd be saying to Aubameyang, personally, I'd put my arm around him and he'd be playing every week centre forward. Because only one season in his whole career has he not scored goals. And that was last season. And you don't become a bad forward overnight. He's a natural goal scorer. He'll score goals in any team, anywhere. But like any player, sometimes you have a dip. What do you need? Arm round, bit of confidence. or a kick up the bum, whatever. Don't know him that well, but whatever it needs, you play him week in, week out. He'll score you goals. And if you need funds, let Lacazette go.